Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer on the foundations of decentralization, brought to you by Forge College. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide today. We're going to take a fun, really enthusiastic look at why these systems are built the way they are. Because let's be honest, we're way past just trusting one guy in a basement with a single master server, right? If you've ever heard terms like blockchain, peer-to-peer, or consensus, and kind of wondered what actually ties them all together, you are in the exact right place. We are going to build your conceptual vocabulary completely from the ground up.
Okay, let's take a very quick look at the game plan for today. We'll kick things off with what is decentralization, then look at cities, grids, and libraries. After that, we'll hit the core principles, run through a real-world example, and wrap up with spotting true decentralization. All right, jumping right in, Section 1, what is decentralization, the core philosophy? So the really crucial point I want to make here is that decentralization isn't just some tech buzzword. It's a deliberate structural choice to ensure no single party can unilaterally control the system. It's really all about taking authority, verification, and failure points and spreading them out across multiple independent actors. It's that conscious design choice to make sure a system is never just cradled in a single point of failure. Ultimately, you're answering three big questions. Where does authority live? How do we survive a massive failure? And what keeps everyone playing by the rules? Moving on to Section 2, cities, grids, and libraries. Looking at distribution as architecture. First up, we have what we call the political topology. I want you to imagine a city where instead of a single mayor going completely mad with zoning power and approving everything themselves, authority is delegated out to independent neighborhood councils. When you're looking at any network, you always need to ask who proposes the rules, who actually ratifies them, and who enforces them. Because if that power is concentrated, well, your political topology is highly centralized, no matter what their slick marketing brochure says. Next, we map out the physical topology. Think of a standard power grid. If a centralized plant fails, it causes a massive, region-wide blackout. We've all been there, stumbling around looking for flashlights. But a mesh of independent microgrids localizes that failure. If one node or validator goes offline, the rest of the network seamlessly picks up the slack. This axis is all about pure engineering trade-offs. Adding redundancy definitely increases cost and complexity for sure, but it drastically reduces the fragility of the whole system. And third, we have the epistemic topology. Fancy phrase, but this one is really all about truth. Say a centralized library's catalog is secretly altered by a rogue insider. The true history is just lost, right? Because everyone relies on that one central catalog. But if every single branch library holds a full cross-checkable copy of the catalog, any tampering is instantly verifiable? For blockchains, this essentially asks, how many independent actors can verify the history of transactions without having to ask a central authority for permission? All right, Section 3, Core Decentralization Principles. Let's look at the actual mechanisms at work here. There are four main pillars holding this whole concept up, and they work together to lower the chance of arbitrary changes, localize failures, prevent hidden manipulation, and ensure inclusive access. First, distribution of authority, meaning no single party can change the state of the network. Second, redundancy and resilience. The system has replicated processes, so a catastrophic crash turns into a localized, parallel recovery operation. Third is verifiability and independent validation, meaning anyone can check the history using cryptographic proofs. And finally, censorship resistance, which ensures transactions can't be selectively blocked just because someone in charge doesn't like them. Now, as with everything in engineering, there are always trade-offs. Centralized systems might give you incredibly high throughput, but decentralized systems sacrifice a bit of that speed for unmatched resilience and transparency. When you have to coordinate a decision across thousands of independent actors globally, it naturally takes a bit longer than one single server just executing a command. Upgrades in a centralized system happen the very second the CEO says so. In a decentralized system, they're slower because they require broad consensus. So you are essentially trading speed and unilateral control for public auditability and extreme reliability. Section 4, a real-world example, designing document notarization. Let's bring this down to earth. Ask yourself, what actually happens when a dispute arises and a client claims their document timestamp was maliciously altered? This isn't just a fun theoretical exercise. Real businesses rely on the exact, verifiable timing of contract signatures. Let's compare the two approaches. If a centralized API company's server crashes because, I don't know, someone spilled coffee on it, or an insider decides to secretly alter a database record, you lose your proof. You're entirely reliant on their internal trust. But a decentralized blockchain distributes that risk across the globe. Sure, you might have to wait a few seconds longer for the block to confirm. That's the block cadence. But once it's there, it is an immutable record validated by independent nodes everywhere. No single coffee spill can take it down. So when that dispute hits, how is it actually handled? Well, in a truly decentralized system, you don't have to trust the company's internal logs or hire super expensive auditors to dig through their hard drives. Anyone, literally anyone, can independently fetch the chain, validate the cryptographic signatures, and mathematically prove exactly when that document was notarized. It just radically changes the dynamics of litigation risk and customer trust. All right, Section 5, Spotting True Decentralization, Moving Beyond the Marketing Fluff. This is fascinating. A network might boast about having thousands of nodes, and that sounds incredibly decentralized, right? But if 85% of those nodes are secretly running on a single corporate hosting provider, a single cloud outage takes down the whole system. That gives you authority distribution on paper, but a massive, highly concentrated failure mode in practice. It's basically a house of cards. So, to assess true resilience, you have to look for measurable signals that prove the system relies on diverse, independent actors rather than concentrated choke points. You want validators spread out geographically across different continents. You absolutely want different software teams writing the client implementations so a bug in one codebase doesn't just break the whole network. And you really want to pay attention to how upgrades are handled. Are they debated openly on-chain, or are they quietly pushed through in private group chats off-chain? This brings us to a sort of golden rule. True decentralization requires independent actors, not just scattered hardware running the exact same vulnerable software or relying on the exact same cloud giant. You absolutely must have that political, physical, and epistemic diversity we've been talking about. I want you to take a moment to really reflect on this. Where does authority live in the systems you use every single day? And who really controls the rules? Look at your social apps, your payment networks, your communication tools. Who holds the keys? I really hope this explainer gave you a powerful new lens to view the digital world. Be sure to visit forge.college to continue exploring trust dynamics, incentives, and a whole lot more Web3 fundamentals with us. Thank you so much for learning with me today in this explainer made by Forge College, and I'll catch you in the next one.